Bro, Twitter right now is just... Bro, this shit's ridiculous, man. This shit is fucking insane. This man literally just enjoyed an album and everyone went fucking crazy. That's literally what just happened. That's it. That's all that happened. Bro, Twitter right now, yeah, is just either A, people getting mad at Fantano for giving Fiona a 7, or B, people getting mad at the people getting mad at Fantano for giving... People calling him misogynistic though? Are you... Because of a 7? Are you serious? Bro, I muted Fiona, I muted Apple, I muted Fetch, I muted misogyny, I muted 7, I muted 10, I muted rapist. I saw some whack shit today. Bro, Twitter is horrible right now, man. Yo, what happens if like, what if a woman dislikes the album? You think of that? Yo, Amy, give it a 4 out of 10 just for the culture. We're really letting numerical scores on music determine whether or not a human being is sexist. What are we doing right now? These are songs, the guy heard them and he had a few problems with them and he liked it overall. He ain't a fucking... Bruh, these Apple natives, my guy. We were not ready for this. Bro, I thought Fiona Apple stands would be wholesome, respectful. These are some lethal stands, man. It's just been crazy. It's been hilarious. Man, alright, let me put some respect on Rina Sawayama. Let me cut away from... This is just on my mind. I'm just thinking out loud. But let's actually get back to the topic of this video. Well, we never were on the topic of this video. Let's actually begin the topic of this video. Rina Sawayama. I really appreciate her courage. I really appreciate how bold she is. Of all of the recent pop artists to have emerged throughout the 2010s, I definitely think she's like one of the main ones to watch. Her presence on her songs isn't quite like anyone else to me. She has this really like turbulent, rebellious energy, kind of akin to like, say, I don't know, Charlie XCX or something, but her sound is nothing like that, you know? Like, she has a similar sort of attitude to her, but there's something kind of glamorous about her as well. She had a record back in 2017 titled Just Rina. It was a much smaller project, more like an EP. This is her debut album, Sawayama, Rina Sawayama. You get it? It's the name. And yeah, I definitely think this new release is way bolder, way more just unafraid to just be crazy. It's very bombastic, and even though I didn't enjoy every song on this album, I have got my issues with it and all that and whatnot. Blah. I will say this album definitely 100% cements her as an artist doing something really interesting, really intriguing, and really unpredictable, and is definitely worth paying attention to going forward. You could say this album is kind of messy in all of its wild musical diversity, but I would also say there's probably something for everyone here, and there's a really contagious, daring energy exuding from nearly every song on this album that I find pretty addictive. One key thing you'll definitely notice in the sound of this album on quite a few of these tracks is the guitar work. There's a bit of like a bit of new metal influence going on tracks like STFU, Who's Gonna Save You Now, Dynasty. Amongst all of the futuristic and colourful pop songs, you got tracks like these with like these real like crunchy type guitars and stuff, which is going to be a big turn off for some people, I'm sure. But it's decisions like that lead to this record just feeling really boundaryless and refreshing in a lot of ways. Songs like Akasaka Sad, Comme Des Garçons, XS, like these tracks I think give you more of what she was kind of offering on the initial Rina project, just kind of playing to her strengths, just making straightforward pop tunes. And those tracks are really enjoyable, but I do appreciate the risks she takes with tracks like, say, Paradisin, as a lot of what she talks about on the album seems to revolve around her identity and her background. So hearing these tracks where she just kind of lets loose and goes fully bombastic and insane, it feels quite liberating in the context of this album, where she touches on basically what her background sort of has defined her as for her whole life, and how kind of she feels ready to break free from that and define herself now on this album. The opening song Dynasty sets that tone right out the gate. The lyrics on this track about kind of inviting the listener to sort of join her on this mission to defy expectations and move away from her heritage is very empowering. It's a real like fiery way to kick off the record. I guess my overall main issue with the album would probably be its just general lack of subtlety. Again, I do appreciate the bombast and the craziness and the loudness of some of these songs, but these tracks have some really like beautiful, raw, human messages communicated in some of these tracks that I think that they get across really well. It's just the emotional impact of them is a little bit diminished when it's just shrouded in music that feels a little bit overproduced a lot of the time, in my opinion. Like on some of these tracks, the mixing can feel like a little too packed, like there's too much happening, it's filled to the brim, there's not really that much space for you to just appreciate what's being said or what the tone of the song is. I think Chosen Family would be the biggest example of this. That track, I appreciate what it's saying, but man, that song is some cheese. There's enough cheese on this track to make Wallace and Gromit throw up, bro. The hook finishes off with the title of the song, My Chosen Family. It's just, it's a bit much. Like, it just feels a little overproduced, a little fabricated, which is frustrating because the song itself is very refreshing, hearing her claim her identity so proudly on this song and all that, but the actual track itself was just a little... Paradisin 2 was just too much. That was just overload. The rapid fire tempo, the over the top fucking packed to the fucking brim instrumental is just, nah, it's just no subtlety at all. Some of the lyrics on that song were a little cringe too, in my opinion. My favorite track on the album was Comme Des Garçons. That track has been on repeat for me, man. I've been spamming the fuck out of that song. I love the bass on it. It's really fluid, really slick. Rina has a lot of vocal range on the song too. There's that part where she sounds kind of cold and sinister. She's all like, don't fuck with me, ho. I love how she kind of sounds like, kind of seductive, like low-key, and then there are other parts where she sounds a little bit more kind of fun-loving and glamorous. Like, I love her performance on the song. It's so contagious, and the actual tune is just irresistible. I love that fucking song, man. The track XS as well is a stellar fucking single. The hook on that track is irresistible, and the song is all about kind of saying, you know what? I deserve to treat myself a little bit. Like, I've been kind of killing it. Like, let me just enjoy this lifestyle a little. You know what I'm saying? Treat yourself a little is what the song is trying to say. And that hook, oh my fucking god, man. Akasaka Sad had my favorite beat on the whole album. Clarence Clarity, you fucking beast. That shit went crazy. I like how she handled the topic of self-love on the track Love Me For Me. This track is basically just shedding light on the importance of being able to recognize who the person you're presenting yourself as to other people is, and then loving that person first so that other people can appreciate you as well. I love the way she framed that idea on that song. It actually turned it into a pretty likable tune as well. Bad Friend as well had some really great content on it. I wasn't as big on the music with this track, like it was kind of sluggish. I felt like the track felt a little bit too restrained, like it wasn't really fully breaking free, like it was kind of hinting towards it eventually doing. It never really hit that moment where it kind of just let loose. But the song itself, I love the content. Again, it's sort of all about diving headfirst into friendships and relationships and just like making attachments with people, but then not really knowing how to navigate those friendships and then feeling like what you contribute towards that friendship suffers as a result. I like her framing, again, very relatable, very down to earth personality on these songs. Fuck This World interlude that comes right after this track, I think is a nice follow-up to that theme. On this track, she's just like, just the confusion and frustration of it all just gets to her to the point where she's like, you know what, I'm trying to live on Mars, man. I would say generally the pacing of the record is a little all over the place, and I think the main reason that is because it kind of feels like Rina is shooting for something wildly different with every single track. Like she's having a different style on each song or something. Like with Paradisin with this kind of crazy bubblegum pop like energy, and then you have like Love Me For Me, which has sort of like an 80s pop bounce to it, and then you got Shut the Fuck Up, which is like a full-on like new metal riff. It's like she's shooting for a different thing, and that can lead to the whole experience feeling a little all over the place and jarring. And some of those ideas I don't really feel like fully lend to Rina's strengths. I think that was mostly the case for some of those new metal inspired tracks. I'm not sure if that's really her bag. I don't know, they were kind of hit or miss for me. And those tracks a lot of the time felt a little bit too overproduced, and as a result they kind of undercut the power of what she was saying. So it ended up being a mildly frustrating listen for me, but I will say ultimately I do really appreciate how risky, bombastic, and generally very catchy and relatable the album was as a whole. I think there was a little bit of filler too. Tokyo Love Story didn't really do much for me like that. Overall though, yeah, I think it's a solid release. I would definitely come back to a few select tracks. Like, I wouldn't say Rina has really kind of established or defined herself musically as much as I wanted her to on this album. Maybe that will kind of become a little bit clearer and more honed in, more focused on the next release. So overall, I would say for me, I think the score is going to be a 6. A pretty strong 6. Like, it's a very, like, exciting, you know, album, all things considered. But yeah, there was a lot of things working against it. A lot of tracks I wasn't really feeling, some filler moments. I'd say a 6 rating rounds up basically how I feel most accurately. So yeah, there you go, motherfuckers. That's how I'm feeling. Am I a misogynist? Let me know in the comments. Shout out to everyone that left a comment on my Fiona video. That is my favorite comment section I think I've ever had in my life. Bro, the dude that was like, yo, just Google peas, my guy. Literally just Google peas. Have a wonderful day. Stay the fuck off Twitter today, please. It's for your own safety. Just don't do it. Go listen to some Rina, because she put out a pretty solid fucking album right here, man. Shout out to music. Shout out to all the musicians in the world. Shout out to all of you for watching this video. You're all fucking beautiful. And I'll see you on the next one, man.